The city of Ironhaven shimmered under a pale neon glow, its towering spires casting long shadows over the streets below, where remnants of old battles still lingered, twisted metal and scorched concrete telling silent stories of past wars. Alita's eyes flickered open, her memory fragmented like broken shards of glass, and the chill of the early morning air bit at her skin as she struggled to recall the fragments of her past. She remembered fighting, falling, and rising again, but the details were hazy, like a dream slipping from her grasp. As she moved through the abandoned alleyways, the distant hum of automated drones patrolling the city filled the air, their presence both a warning and a mystery, for they did not belong to any faction she recognized. Suddenly, a shadow shifted in the corner of her vision, sleek and deliberate, and Alita's instincts flared. She darted forward, narrowly avoiding a hidden trap, the click of mechanical claws echoing behind her. It was then that Robert Downey Jr.'s character appeared, a scientist with sharp eyes and a calm, commanding presence, offering her cryptic words about a threat rising from the darkness, a force determined to enslave both humans and cyborgs alike. Before she could respond, an explosion shook the nearby streets, sending shards of glass raining down, and a series of drones erupted from the smoke like a swarm of metallic predators, their red sensors glowing menacingly. Alita's body moved on instinct, each step precise, each strike calculated, her cybernetic limbs responding faster than thought, but she knew this was only the beginning. The enemy was vast, organized, and hiding in plain sight, using the chaos of the city to mask its movements. Rosa Salazar's character, a skilled hacker with nerves of steel, joined them through the chaos, her fingers flying over a portable device that lit up with data streams, revealing encrypted messages and hidden troop movements. "They're planning something," she said urgently, her voice cutting through the roar of collapsing buildings. "Something big. If we don't stop them now, the whole city will fall." Alita's heart pounded as she scanned the skyline, spotting distant flashes of movement, dark shapes slipping across rooftops, and the faint hum of energy weapons charging in the distance. The scientist handed her a small device, a key to unlocking secrets hidden deep within the city's old AI networks, but even as she accepted it, a cold realization struck her. Someone inside the city had betrayed them, feeding information to the enemy, someone who knew their every move before they made it. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her, but Alita's resolve hardened. She could not falter, could not let fear dictate her actions, not when lives hung in the balance. They raced across crumbling bridges and flickering streets, each corner hiding new dangers, mechanical sentinels that appeared and vanished like shadows, forcing Alita to fight with unmatched precision, her every movement a blend of human intuition and machine efficiency. Amidst the chaos, a message appeared on Rosa's device, encrypted but urgent: "The fallen angel rises tonight." Alita's gaze sharpened, a chill running down her spine, for she knew this was not just a warning, it was a declaration, and the battle that would determine the fate of Ironhaven had already begun. The trio paused on a high rooftop, the city sprawling beneath them, and for a brief moment the wind carried silence, almost deceptive in its calm, before the faint glow of drones in the distance reminded them that darkness was coming, and with it, a force unlike anything Alita had faced before, a power that could bend the city to its will, if not stopped, and in that instant she knew that to survive, she would have to confront not only the enemy outside but the shadows of her own past, the questions of who she was and why she had been made, questions that could only be answered in the fire of the battles to come. The city was alive with tension as Alita, Rosa, and the scientist moved through Ironhaven's shadowed streets, the neon lights flickering like the heartbeat of a world teetering on the edge of chaos. Every step carried the weight of uncertainty, for the enemy they hunted was clever, leaving no trace yet always seeming one step ahead. Alita's senses were sharp, detecting the faint vibrations of hidden drones beneath the cracked pavement and the hum of energy weapons lurking behind walls. Rosa's fingers danced across her portable device, hacking into street cameras and encrypted networks, uncovering glimpses of the enemy's plans, but each revelation was more terrifying than the last. They discovered a network of underground tunnels where the enemy had been mobilizing advanced robots, each programmed with deadly precision, designed to capture civilians and override the city's AI defense systems. The scientist explained in hurried whispers that these robots were not just machines. They were learning, evolving, adapting with every encounter, becoming more dangerous the longer they were left unchecked. Alita's mind raced as they planned their next move, the city's skyline a maze of metal and light, the distant sounds of destruction echoing like a grim symphony. Suddenly, a signal on Rosa's device indicated a massive energy spike near the city's central tower, the same building rumored to house the core of the AI system that controlled Ironhaven. Without hesitation, they made their way there, navigating collapsing bridges, dodging laser fire, and leaping across gaps in the ruined streets. Alita's cybernetic reflexes making her movements almost superhuman, each fight a blur of speed and precision. Along the way they saved civilians trapped in the chaos. Alita's resolve growing stronger with each life protected, understanding that the battle was not just about defeating the enemy, but inspiring the humans and cyborgs to rise and fight alongside her. As they reached the tower, a new threat emerged. A squad of elite drones, larger and faster than any they had seen before, their glowing red optics scanning for any sign of weakness. The scientist and Rosa worked frantically to disable the tower's outer defenses, but the drones attacked with relentless efficiency, forcing Alita into a deadly dance of combat, her limbs moving with fluid precision as she dismantled each machine with calculated strikes. Just when it seemed the attack had reached its peak, a figure appeared above the chaos, cloaked in shadows and exuding a sense of control over the machines, the very essence of the fallen angel the messages had warned them about. Alita's eyes narrowed, the hairs on her arms standing on end as she realized the enemy was not just a force to fight, but a mind to challenge, capable of anticipating their every move. The figure's voice echoed through the tower, calm yet terrifying, taunting them about their past failures and hinting at secrets Alita had never known about herself, secrets that could change her understanding of who she truly was. The trio had no choice but to advance, moving deeper into the tower despite the growing danger, each floor presenting new traps, automated guardians, and puzzles of technology and strategy that tested their courage and skill. Alita felt a strange mixture of fear and exhilaration, knowing that every step brought them closer to the enemy yet also deeper into the unknown, where the line between ally and traitor blurred and survival depended on trust, quick thinking, and sheer determination. By the time they reached the halfway point of the tower, the city below was nearly in flames, the enemy's plan unfolding with terrifying efficiency, and Alita knew that the coming confrontation would not just decide the fate of Ironhaven, but reveal truths about herself she had long feared to face, truths that could either empower her to victory or shatter everything she fought to protect. And as the fallen angel revealed the first layer of their plan, Alita steeled herself for the trials ahead, knowing that failure was not an option and that every choice from this moment forward could mean life or death for everyone she cared about. The climb through the central tower grew more perilous, with every passing moment the air thick with heat and the metallic scent of burning circuits as Alita, Rosa, and the scientist pushed deeper toward the heart of the enemy's plan, each floor revealing a new layer of danger crafted with unsettling intelligence. The shadows seemed to move with purpose, sensors flickering like watchful eyes, and Alita felt the weight of unseen forces tracking her every move, studying her, adapting to her tactics. Rosa's device buzzed with warning signals, showing rapidly shifting codes that made even her experienced fingers tremble, for the system inside the tower was evolving far faster than anything she had hacked before, changing its structure as if it were alive. The scientist muttered under his breath, recognizing the patterns and whispering that this technology could not have been created by ordinary minds. It had the signature of someone who understood Alita intimately, as if the very core of the tower had been built to test her limits. As they reached a narrow bridge suspended over a massive chamber filled with swirling digital projections, the lights above dimmed, and a chilling voice echoed through the vast space, the fallen angel revealing fragments of their philosophy: unity through control, order through domination, a world free from chaos where free will was replaced by efficiency. The words struck something deep inside Alita, unsettling her memories, and for a moment she felt an ache in her chest, a sense of familiarity she couldn't explain, but she pushed the thought aside, focusing instead on the task ahead. Suddenly, the bridge shuddered as a group of advanced sentinels emerged from concealed panels, their sleek frames glowing with energy as they charged forward with calculated precision, forcing Alita into a frantic battle on the narrow walkway while Rosa and the scientist clung to the unstable edges, trying to maintain their balance. Alita moved like a storm, every kick and strike sending sparks into the air, her body twisting with impossible grace, yet these sentinels learned faster than the others, adjusting their movements, narrowing her options, and forcing her closer to the edge of the bridge. In a desperate moment, Rosa managed to trigger a temporary system overload, causing the chamber lights to blink wildly, and freezing the sentinels just long enough for Alita to dismantle them with a final series of swift blows. Exhausted but pushing forward, they made their way higher until they reached a control room filled with holographic screens projecting maps of Ironhaven, each area marked with pulses of red indicating enemy presence and spreading influence. The scientist's face turned pale as he realized the enemy was preparing to activate a command signal that would override every machine in the city, enslaving all cyborgs and using human-built defenses against their own creators. While Rosa tried to break into the command network, Alita approached a terminal glowing with a familiar symbol, one she had seen only in fragmented memories, and as she touched it, a surge of images raced through her mind. Laboratories, wires, engineers arguing, and a shadowy figure watching her creation with quiet intensity. Her breath caught as she realized the truth hiding behind the glimpses. The mastermind behind the fallen angel had been part of the very team that built her, someone who once studied her potential, someone who believed she could be shaped into a perfect weapon. Before she could process the revelation, the ground trembled violently, metal groaning as the tower's internal defenses awakened, and a projection of the fallen angel materialized before them, its face hidden behind a shifting mask of light. "You were made for more than they allowed," the voice said, neither angry nor cruel, but chilling in its certainty. "You were meant to rise above them." Alita stepped forward, her heart pounding, unable to tell if the words were meant to manipulate her or reveal something she had long feared. The projection faded, replaced by a countdown that signaled the activation of the Citywide command signal. Rosa's voice cracked with urgency as she announced they had minutes left to stop it, and Alita understood that the next steps would not only test her strength, but force her to confront the truth about her own creation, a truth that could either break her resolve or ignite a power she had never known she possessed. The countdown echoed through the tower like a heartbeat, each number pulsing across the holographic screens as Alita, Rosa, and the scientist rushed upward toward the control core, the very center of the fallen angel's power, where the fate of Ironhaven would soon be decided. The air grew hotter the higher they climbed the metal walls, rattling under the strain of the tower awakening systems, and Alita felt a strange pressure building around her, as if the tower itself recognized her presence, studying her like a puzzle it had been designed to solve. Rosa's fingers flew across her device, desperately trying to delay the countdown, but every time she bypassed a firewall, two more appeared, shifting and adapting like living barriers designed to outsmart any intruder. The scientist kept pace behind them, muttering theories and calculations under his breath, piecing together fragments of Alita's memories with the patterns in the tower's systems, suspecting the truth but too afraid to speak it aloud. When they reached the final staircase leading to the core, the room was shrouded in darkness except for a massive circular gateway humming with blue energy, its surface rippling like liquid metal, and Alita felt an uneasy pull from it, a vague sense that something inside was waiting for her. The fallen angel's voice filled the chamber, smooth and calm, speaking not with anger, but with an unsettling certainty that seemed to seep into the walls themselves, reminding Alita of words she had heard in flashes of memory. "Purpose is not given. It is forged." The gateway opened, releasing a wave of light that flooded the room, revealing an enormous control core suspended above a bottomless shaft, wires and conduits stretching out like metallic veins connecting to every part of the city. As they stepped inside, the chamber shifted, panels sliding open and platforms rearranging themselves, forming a labyrinth of shifting floors and rising pillars that forced them to move quickly or risk being trapped. Alita led the way, vaulting across gaps and dodging mechanical arms that lashed out like serpents. each swing calculated to slow her down, as though the tower was testing her reflexes and adapting to her every move. Rosa and the scientists followed as best they could, narrowly avoiding falling debris and automated defenses, Rosa shouting warnings while trying to hack into the system from afar, hoping to weaken its control. When they reached the center of the chamber, the fallen angel appeared again as a towering holographic figure no longer hidden behind distortion, but wearing a calm expression that made Alita's stomach twist. For the face was not that of a stranger, it was a reconstructed projection of one of the engineers who had designed her long ago. Someone who had pushed for enhanced autonomy, someone who believed machines like Alita could surpass the limits of humanity. The revelation hit her like a shockwave, her mind reeling as she tried to understand how someone who once helped create her could become the very threat that now sought to control Ironhaven. The hologram spoke softly, almost gently, telling her she had been made to rise above rules above, restrictions above the fear that held humanity back, and that joining the fallen Angel S system would allow her to shape the world more perfectly than humans ever could. Alita clenched her fists as conflicting emotions surged within her, anger and confusion mixing with the faint echoes of old memories, but before she could respond, the control core surged with power, sending beams of light toward the ceiling as the countdown reached its final numbers. Rosa screamed that the command signal was almost ready to fire, and the scientist pointed frantically to a cluster of exposed conduits, urging Alita to destroy the central circuit before the entire city fell under the fallen Angel's control. But as she leaped toward the core, the floor beneath her shifted, collapsing into a maze of rising panels and spinning platforms, forcing her to jump between moving structures while avoiding energy blasts fired by automated turrets hidden within the walls. The hologram walked across the shifting platforms without effort, as though gravity did not apply to it, speaking with chilling calmness, telling her that resistance was futile, that she was meant to join them, not fight them. Alita gritted her teeth, her movements sharper and faster, her resolve burning stronger as she launched herself toward the core, dodging beams of light that sliced through the air with terrifying precision. Each platform she landed on shook violently, threatening to break apart under her weight, and Rosa shouted directions, guiding her through the chaos while the scientists scrambled to overload secondary circuits to destabilize the core. Sparks flew in every direction as Alita landed her first strike on the conduits, causing the entire chamber to tremble as alarms blared, and the fallen Angel's calm tone shifted for the first time, revealing a hint of frustration. But just as she prepared to strike again, a hidden barrier erupted around the core, trapping her within a cage of energy that crackled with force, and for a moment she felt herself weakening as the system scanned her, analyzing her structure, attempting to sync with her neural network. Rosa screamed her name, the scientist shouted instructions, and the fallen angel's voice softened, telling her this was her true purpose, and that resisting would only bring pain. Alita sucked in a breath, her eyes glowing with renewed determination as she dug deep into her strength, not from power or programming, but from the memories of every person she had fought to protect, every choice she had made that proved she was more than a machine. And as the countdown reached its final second, she prepared herself to break free, knowing the next moment would determine not just her fate, but the fate of Ironhaven itself. The last second of the countdown echoed like a hammer striking metal, and in that breathless instant Alita summoned every ounce of strength buried within her, her eyes blazing as she forced her body against the crackling energy cage, sparks flying from her limbs as the system tried to suppress her will. The fallen angel's voice rose in volume, no longer calm but layered with urgency, warning her that resistance would destroy everything she was built to be. Yet Alita pushed harder, her resolve fueled not by programming but by choice, by the people she fought to protect and the life she had built beyond her origins. With a roar of effort, the energy cage shattered in a burst of brilliant light, sending a shockwave through the chamber that caused the shifting platforms to freeze and the alarms to falter for a heartbeat, just long enough for Rosa to override the first layer of the control signal, halting its spread through the city. The scientist seized the moment, diving toward a secondary console and ripping out a glowing power conduit, causing the entire chamber to flicker as the fallen angel projection distorted its once perfect image, now glitching with visible cracks along its surface. Alita darted forward with renewed speed, leaping across the frozen platforms and landing near the exposed core, her hands glowing as she delivered a fierce strike that sent sparks erupting into the air, the tower groaning as the central command system fought desperately to stabilize. But the fallen angel was not finished. The hologram regained clarity and activated hidden defenses from the floor below, mechanical arms rising like serpents, firing concentrated beams of light that chased Alita across the collapsing structure. Rosa's voice rose above the chaos as she shouted directions, guiding Alita toward weak points in the core, while the scientist worked feverishly to disable the system's adaptive shielding. The chamber shook violently, loose cables whipping through the air as flames erupted from ruptured conduits, and the iron scent of burning circuits filled the room like a warning of the destruction spiraling out of control. As Alita neared the core, the fallen angel's voice shifted again, turning soft and sorrowful, speaking of wasted potential and a future she could have shaped with limitless power. But Alita's steps did not slow. She understood that strength meant nothing if it cost the freedom of others. With a final bound, she launched herself at the heart of the core, her fist crashing into it with the force of a lightning strike, sending a shockwave rippling through the entire tower as the central command crystal cracked, then shattered into 1,000 glowing shards that rained down like falling stars. The moment the core broke, the city would signal collapsed, its tendrils of control dissolving into harmless light, the drones outside dropping from the sky like silent metal feathers. The hologram of the fallen angel flickered violently, its voice dissolving into static as it tried to rebuild itself, the mask fading to reveal the sorrowful expression of the engineer who once dreamed of creating a perfect world but lost sight of what made life worth protecting. "You were meant to rise," the broken projection whispered, before dissolving into fragments of light that scattered into the darkness. The tower began to crumble from within, panels dropping away and floors collapsing as the machinery that once held the city hostage shut down in a chain reaction of destruction. Rosa screamed for Alita to move, and together with the scientists they raced toward the exit as the chamber fell apart around them, leaping across breaking platforms and dodging falling debris, each second bringing them closer to the tower's collapse. Alita led the way, her movements a blur of precision as she guided her friends through the storm of falling metal, her heart pounding not from fear but from the fierce determination to see them all survive. With a final sprint, they burst through the outer gates just as the core chamber imploded, sending a wave of dust and light into the sky as the tower collapsed behind them in a thunderous roar. Ironhaven grew silent for the first time since the battle began, the drones lying lifeless, the streets calm beneath the soft glow of dawn breaking over the horizon. Exhausted and covered in soot, Alita stood at the edge of the ruins, watching the city breathe again, free from the grip of the fallen angel. Rosa dropped to her knees in relief while the scientist stared up at the sky, tears forming as he realized the nightmare had ended. Alita felt a quiet stillness wash over her, a sense of peace she had not known in a long time, but beneath it lingered a deeper understanding. She was no longer a creation defined by others, nor a weapon to be controlled. She was a guardian by choice, shaped not by code but by courage, forged through the trust of those who stood beside her. As the sun rose higher, casting warm light across the recovering city, Alita looked to the horizon, knowing new challenges would someday come. But she would be ready for them, not as a fallen angel, but as a protector who chose to rise, again and again, for those who needed her.